I want to bring some awareness to you, and there's a fun practical exercise that can help you create and see opportunities that were right in front of you, that are right in front of you, that you may have missed completely. Life is so hard and so tough that we don't always get the chance to just be in that space and share experiences, learn things from each other, and sometimes just have someone listen to us or have somebody share some ideas that can help us with stuff we're struggling with. Exposing ourselves to that is in itself helpful. So look, appreciate everything. I'm going to talk in this session about what is life coaching, break down what it is, what it isn't, and what it might help you with, my story and how I've got to where I am, my process and approach to how I help people. And then I'll talk about some of the tools that you can use. NLP, so NLP stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming, and I'll go into that in specific terms of how that might be able to help you and some tools there. Then I want to talk about awareness. I want to bring some awareness to you, and there's a fun practical exercise that can help you create and see opportunities that were right in front of you, that are right in front of you, that you may have missed completely. Then I'm going to talk about goals. I want you to commit a goal to yourself, as big or as small, but I'll talk about that a little later in the video. And then finally, we'll look at how you can build a more positive mindset and some things you can do in the moment to just help you feel a bit more positive about yourself, the day, and something that you can share with a few people around you. Just before I go into what is life coaching, some of the things that we will talk through are going to make you maybe think about stuff that you haven't thought of ever or in a long time. And that can invoke emotion, right? It can make you feel really conflicting because you have to take responsibility. It's not about blame. It's about thinking, what can I do now? What have I not done? And what do I need to change that needs to work better for my life to improve and for me to feel content and happier than I am right now? And that is a tough thing. It's tough. So putting yourself in that vulnerable place is challenging. So just be kind to yourself. And that is where somebody who holds you accountable, a friend to talk to, somebody who's got experience, a mentor, a coach, somebody who can help walk you through that process is useful as a sounding board to understand, all right, am I on the right path? Is it just me thinking this way? Are other people seeing it? What is a perspective or an opinion that I didn't consider by speaking to a few people, but trusted people, people that you value their opinion and you can talk to in confidence? So that's just something to consider, but just be mindful that some of the stuff that I'm going to talk through might make you feel a bit uneasy about yourself, but that uneasiness is getting you to a better place. So life coaching is a type of talking therapy. So you've got counseling, therapy, and life coaching. So therapy and counseling is typically focused on the past. So things that have happened in history, trauma, and they're looking at what's happened and picking that apart. As much as coaching looks at what hasn't worked, it's more future focused. So where are we at now? What are your future goals? If you know them, let's help you get there. And if you've tried things in the past, it hasn't worked, let's figure that out and let's help make them work. If you don't know where you're going, let's figure out where you're at. Let's set some goals and then let's go through that process of getting you from here to there and beyond. That's what coaching is within a conversation. I've defined it as such. It's a purposeful conversation focused on you that helps inspire action towards your goals and best self. Sometimes some of the things that I might talk through with people does then require signposting to therapy, if that's where the challenges are, or counseling and other talking therapies. But essentially coaching is focused on you now, future goals, and how we can map that journey out and live those actions and get to that space where you're happy, you're on that journey of growth, but you're still striving for more. The way I fell into it, I suppose, is about 10, 12 years ago, I wrote down a list of goals, just wrote them down because my mentor at the time told me to do so. I thought nothing of it. And then I lived out the next 10 years. And about 2021, so this is about 3 or 4 years ago now, I look back at that list that I actually wrote down. I saved it in a file, and I share this with people now. So I've got the file date stamped to show that actually when I wrote this, none of which of what I'm talking about was actually true. So I wrote down a list of goals and looked at it in 2021. And from when I wrote it back in, I think it was 2013, 2014 to about 2021, so 8, 9 years or whatever that gap is, but let's call it 10 years. In that 10 years, everything I wrote in that list pretty much came true. So in that list, I wrote, travel the world, get promoted in my job, have kids, buy a house, and start something for myself. And when I first looked at that list almost 10 years later, it brought tingles to the back of my bald head, and I brought a tear to my eye, because I didn't realize that I'd written that down, committed myself to it, and it just happened. And I actually thought, Ross, if I'd set even bigger goals, imagine how much further I could have got. And that's what got me into the goal setting space of like, all right, I want to set massive goals, and let me challenge myself. You might have heard of the saying, like, if you aim for the moon and you reach, as far as you got was the moon. If you aim for the stars and miss, you will still get further than the moon, because you're aiming so big. If you get halfway there, you're still further than, well, actually, most people's goals are so mediocre. And sort of, I'm not saying mine were, and your goals might change, but I wrote down those things and I share it because at the time of me writing it, none of it was true. I hadn't traveled the world. I hadn't had any kids. I hadn't bought a house. I hadn't been promoted. So that when I look back and I'd achieved all that, it just, honestly, it was so life inspiring. I was like, this is absolutely what I want to help people with, because if you do that, it can have the power to change your life. Think about it, commit to it, look back at it, and then figure it out and then change it along the way. It's not always going to be that way, but the only thing that I hadn't done in that space, because I traveled the world, I've got 2 beautiful kids, I got promoted, and I literally bought a house all sort of within that space, and I haven't worked abroad, which was one of the goals on that list. And the second thing was starting something for myself. So when I looked at that list of goals in 2021, I hadn't started what you see now as the channel and the vlogs, the videos, the life coaching space. And I had to figure that out. It's taken me a few years to get from what I want to start for myself to actualizing that and making the videos and getting to a rhythm, getting to a sustainable rhythm, right? So as much as I've achieved all that, right now I work full time. I go to the gym regularly. I've got a dog that you might have heard bark just then. He needs regular walks every day. I spend time with my wife, spend time with my kids. So I'm an active, very active dad. We have the social calendar that's full, and I'm creating content regularly as well. All that, balancing all that, is something that I've had to navigate in a space where I don't just help people, I practice what I preach, and I have lived that space. So I've set goals when none of it was true. I've looked back on that, achieved that, and realized this can help other people. Let me help you. I balance all my current responsibilities, and I'm content with that. I'm actually in a real great space. And if I have more resource, all I would do is ramp that up and scale up what I'm doing. I wouldn't do it any differently. I just do more of it. And that's taken a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of what I'm talking about, which is what I help people with. So I don't just talk about it. I don't just share some of what might help you. I'm in a space that I can share actually what works for me, and I'm able to do all that. And that's where the life coaching space, what I want to share with you really. So life coaching in a nutshell is me trying to help you with what you're struggling with. And it might not even be a one-to-one conversation. It might just be some things I'm saying here to just figure out the stuff that I might not have any experience in, that you might need to read about, you might need to figure out yourself, but let's talk through it. Let's understand it. Let's pick it apart, and then let's put it back together in a way that it works. Okay, so I've talked about what life coaching is. Let me talk about a couple of life coaching tools, NLP tools that might help you. The first one is reframing. So a great example that I shared last week with a few parents was we call it the school run. Like I, I actually see one parent run to school. Most of us walk. It's a school walk, but we call it a school run. That narrative implies that we are rushing and we have to take our kids to school is sometimes what we might see as a burden, but actually we are privileged. I am privileged to be able to take my kids to school. To first of all, have children. To second of all, be in a place where I'm able to take them to school. That reframe can help me feel better about what I might need to do in your responsibilities. If there's something in your life that you do that you necessarily don't want to or don't like to do, reframing can help you think about that in a more positive way. Giving you specific examples requires me to understand what your challenges are, but like waking up early can seem like a tough thing, but the fact that you have something to wake up for and you're able to get out of bed and we have opportunities that some people are absolutely dying to have can reframe how we feel about something. So just changing how you see a situation can change how you feel about it, which can change your approach, which can make you feel better about it. Nothing actually changed about the task. It's just your mentality. And that is reframing. Another tool is called anchoring. It's exactly like it sounds in a ship. So a ship has an anchor. If an anchor falls in a ship, when the waves are all choppy and the sea is all unsteady, the ship stays steady, stays still. Anchoring emotionally is the same. So your thoughts will be like the choppy water and they'll come and go, but you can anchor your feelings with a state, with something. So you can use, for example, music. If you have music associated positively to maybe your first dance song on your wedding day, a song that takes you back to a summer of the past that you enjoy, but a particular positive time. Listening to that song as an anchor can make you think about that time, make you remember how you felt at that time, and bring back similar feelings, similar states. So your emotional state can be changed with that anchor, irrespective of what's going on around you with your thoughts. And you can use different things as anchors. So you can have touch, it can be an object, it can be a set of cues. Music is a great one that I use, but there's multiple things that anchoring can do. And if you want to know more about it, by all means, look into it. But anchoring is another NLP tool that can help you get into a state of mind based on what you might need. A great thing that can help you work out in the gym is like a song called like the Eye of the Tiger, that just motivates you to push further because it might remind you of the Rocky films, for example, and that inspiring moment just before he's about to fight and he's training, and it's in that space that you can get in that positive state. So that's what anchoring is. Right. So my approach to this is to speak to you in a discovery call to understand your challenges. Do you have any goals? What's working? What's not working? How can I help? That's my first opening question. That's my tagline. How can I help? And then over to you. Once I've understood how I might be able to help, I normally get people to fill in a questionnaire with some detailed questions to help me understand a lot about you in a short space of time. One of the questions on there is about your preferred method of actually speaking. Is it WhatsApp? Is it video call? Is it phone call? Is it email? Is it a multitude of others? Is it face-to-face? And there's some thought-provoking questions in there that can just help us build that picture. And then figuring out at that point, all right, once I've understood and we've sat down and had a conversation, what is your need? What is your coaching need? Is it a coaching need? Is it some support you need? Can I give you some tools that can help you? But then figuring out a package that's right for you. Is it a one-off life audit we need to look and break down? Is it some help over potentially 2-3 months that you might need? Is it a longer term sort of journey that you're on, and just understanding that? So that's typically my approach. Hopping on a discovery call, speaking to you about your challenges, understanding how I might be able to help, understanding a bit more about you specifically, and then figuring out what might work for you. One thing I want you to do is whatever environment you're in, wherever you're at now, is look around you for anything that is the color blue. If you're colorblind, look for anything that is circle. So anything blue or circular for about 10-20 seconds. Just look around you and take note of everything that's blue or circular. Now that you've done that, close your eyes. Tell me everything that you saw that was either red or square. Okay, you can open your eyes. If you did that effectively, you would have noticed a lot of blue things, a lot of circular things, but not necessarily things that were red and square, because you're looking for those things. You're looking specifically for what I've asked. An example of this is when you're looking for a new car. Like, you see more of those cars on the road. Like, there's no more type of those cars that are on the road today that there were yesterday. It's just you're focused and your awareness is looking for those opportunities. That's exactly how goals work, how opportunities work, how luck works. You look for it and you will find it. And affirmations can do the same. If you believe, feel, and think a certain way, you will look for those things. I asked you to look for something that was blue and circular. You missed a lot of things that were around you that were red and square because you just weren't looking for them. So something might be right in front of your face, but you miss it because you just weren't looking for it. And that's exactly how opportunity works. We delete stuff every day. So we focus on what we are concentrating on, what we're aware of, and our belief system helps us focus on stuff. We distort stuff. So we filter it through our own perspective and we generalize. So that's, we delete, we distort, and we generalize. These are three things that I'll talk through more within the life coaching space, but actually we miss a lot of what's right in front of us because we're just not looking for it. If you increase your self-awareness and understand what you want, you will see more of it. I coach, I build content, and I want to grow my online presence. So I look and I find opportunities to do that. Amongst everything else, that is a perspective that I now widen. And the more you see it, the more opportunities you find, the more opportunities you find, it will snowball and it just grows. And that's what I've found with everything. So it's about understanding, all right, what am I looking for? What do I want? And then you'll just see more of it. And that has definitely helped me find more opportunities. I want to talk about mindfulness now. So if you've heard of mindfulness, great. If not, I'll first share the difference between meditation and mindfulness. So meditation is the practice. It's the, what are you focusing on? Mindfulness is being aware. So what are you aware of? You can focus on the breath as an anchor, and breathing in mindfulness, or it could be touch, so your feet on the ground and feeling grounded. Meditation is focusing on one specific thing. So they're very similar, but mindfulness is the practice of awareness. What you're aware of, meditation is where there's a transfer over meditation. But essentially, that is a tool that can help you calm down and just be in the moment. Stop thinking about your to-do list and what you've got to do in the future. Stop dwelling on what could have been, what might happen, and any regrets or past reflections, and just be still. It's so hard to be still and do nothing. That is what mindfulness actively practices. And it can seem boring, but it's helping you build concentration. So if you can't focus for a long period of time, for the example of your breath, you focus on the breath, and then let your thoughts come and go. If you lose focus of your breath and you think about something else, bringing your attention back to the breath is the practice itself. And being kind to yourself and just letting your thoughts flow. But the more you practice bringing your focus back to the breath, when you're trying to focus on a future task, the better you will be able to manage distractions and bring your focus back to that task, because you've practiced how to bring your focus and attention back into a particular thing. In mindfulness, that being the breath. So that's how it can help. With the tools I'm talking about, they will not work better or worse for individuals respectively. And that's why it's worth trying different things to build up your mental resilience and seeing what works for you. If it works, do more of it. If it doesn't work, drop it, but don't completely disregard it. It just might not be the right time for you. You might not have practiced it in the right way or been shown it in a way that can work for you. But different things will work for different people. Just try them. Just keep going and find what works for you and do more of that stuff. And I'll talk about lots of layers of resilience and things that you can try that will and work, and the results will vary. The next thing I want to talk through is affirmations. So affirmations alone won't do much, but they can help build our self-worth. Often, in my experience, most people talk to themselves negatively. And if you have somebody around you who can hold you accountable when you say negative things about yourself, to then reframe that and rephrase that. It's not necessarily untrue. It's just not necessarily the best perspective to take. Some affirmations that might help you is, look, we are alive. We live in the most opportunistic, resourceful time ever. 100 years ago, most of the opportunities we have now, they did not exist. We can sometimes forget that perspective. We are all blessed to have what we have. We so focus on what we don't have, we sometimes forget what we do have. And I'll talk about at the end something that you can practice within yourself, with each other, with the people around you, to help you appreciate that a little bit more. But what you can do is write down a few affirmations that are true and that help build up your self-worth. Talk about and think about yourself positively. That internal self-belief will come out in the way you carry yourself, what you say, and then that will multiply. You'll look for positive opportunities because you're carrying yourself a little bit differently. It won't change straight away. It won't change overnight. It will be tough. If you've always thought negatively, you have to actively practice thinking positively, because your brain naturally goes back to that old habit and old thinking pattern. You have to carve a new path, and it's very light at first. And the more you tread and the more you travel through that positive space, the more ingrained that will be, and your brain will think positively easier. The Wheel of Life is something that I've talked about. I've got a video on it, and I'll quickly talk about it here to help reference how that can give you awareness. So a wheel, the Wheel of Life, if you've heard of it, great. If not, a wheel is smooth, it's round, it rolls, it's balanced. It's 10 categories of life, and I've put that into family, fun, giving back, health, home, personal development, relationship, spirituality, wealth, and work. And I want you to think about your life in each part and rate yourself, how happy and satisfied you are with each part of that life. Once you've done that, see what your highest and lowest rated area is. Once you've done that, find out what your highest rated area is, your area of strength, and that's your go-to area of happiness because you're content with that part of life. See what your lowest rated area is, or your biggest area of focus. Put energy into there to increase that rating and become more happy or satisfied. That's typically where I help people set goals and take action to make themselves feel happier with that part of life. And most people's wheels actually isn't round, but that's okay. It's just about understanding imbalance, where you can put your energy and focus to help feel a bit more rounded. This is what an example wheel looks like. So in this example, you can see fun is something that you can do more of, and that's the highest rated area. Giving back and sharing things is something that we can put goals into to help us feel a bit more like we're giving back, if that's what your wheel looks like. And respectively, to understand yours specifically, that's where the one-to-one coaching is the best space for that. All right, so I'm going to talk about SMART goals. If you've heard about SMART goals, great. So the SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Specific is what exactly do you want? Not generally. Hone that into something a bit more specific. Measurable is how can you track progress and the milestones to see, all right, I've hit this particular milestone, I'm making progress. How can you measure it? Achievable is actually, are you stretching yourself too far? How are the steps that you can take which are within your reach, just a bit further than your current skill set? Realistic forms that. So you want to make it sort of relevant to you and realistic, where it applies to you and you're stretching yourself just that little bit out of your comfort zone, not too far, so it's overwhelming, but not within your comfort zone where you can achieve it quite, straightforward. And then time bound. So when do you want to do this by? Typically, people miss the time bound one. And what I want you to do now is think about and write a goal that is specific to you. It can be as simple and as small or as big as you wish. But I want you to promise to your future self with no accountability, right? If you want accountability, that's where a coach and a friend and somebody can help you say, oh, you said you were going to do this. How are you getting on? If you've made progress, awesome, celebrate that. If not, what's not worked? And then how can we find a way it works? But I want you to promise a future action to yourself, as little or as big as you want, and put a date on it. With that, put it in your calendar, put it in your phone as an alarm so it comes up and reminds you, this is what you said you wanted to do. Do you still want to do that? Have you made progress? Have you tried and something hasn't worked? do you need a little bit more help and support with that? The last thing I want to share with you is a practice called a gratitude circle. Whether you're on your own, whether there's 2 or 10 people, depending on how long you have and how many people you have, it's a great thing that I've used in a team, in a group environment. But essentially, it's sharing one thing that we're grateful for each. And I'll share a few things that I'm grateful for. So I am grateful for anybody who takes on and learns anything from my videos. I massively appreciate that. I'm grateful for my family and the time that I'm able to spend with them and the freedom that we have to just enjoy space together, have fun, family time together, from my kids, my wife, my kids and wife, and that family dynamic and beyond. So my parents, my brother, and the wider family we have. I spend time with family and I massively appreciate that. I'm really grateful for the family that I have. I'm grateful for some of the opportunities that I have, such as being able to share with the world, or have access and have the world have access to me through YouTube, through videos. That is an opportunity that 10 years ago was not in the space that it is today. So I'm grateful for these few things. And what you can do is share one thing that you're grateful for. By all means, write it down if you're on your own. Just remind yourself of some things that you might be grateful for. Or in a circular environment, just go around as many times as you wish and you want to say, share, and hear things that people around you might be grateful for. I've done this with my kids. I've done this alone. I've done this with my team, group of strangers, and it's been lovely to hear some insight on what people are grateful for. And it's quite simple and easy to do. Doesn't require any resource or any forethought or planning. It can be done in the moment. So try it and let me know. I'm Life Coach Rav, self-proclaimed in the handle. I'm Life Coach Rav on all handles, from TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, my website. If you type in Life Coach Rav on most platforms, I will come up. And thank you. Thank you for listening, hopefully learning, hopefully getting some insight and some tools, some practical tools that you can use to help build your mental resilience. I did say at the end, I'm going to share a list of things. So I'll pull up a slide here that has a list of things that you can try to build your mental resilience. So there's things such as gratitude, we've talked through, music, writing a letter, phoning a friend, arts and crafts, visualization. I have certain things here that we can use. So there's visualization, asking for help, arts and crafts, gardening, nature walk. What else we got? Journaling. Journaling's a great tool that can help. What I find with journaling is some people like free format and just like a blank piece of paper. Great. Some people like structure and almost like a habit tracker style journal. One challenge with journaling is if you don't do it consistently. So if you do it when you feel crap, or if you do it when you feel great and then stop, you don't quite capture a long enough or a big enough emotional timeline, so you can't reference everything and then pick apart what did and what didn't work. But if it works for you, great, and find ways that it can work for you. Counseling is a tool. What else we got here? So we've got gratitude. Okay, sometimes we just need a good cry. Bit of self-care. And with that, we have mental resilience blocks. These are building blocks. Okay, so if those blocks, and if that falls apart like you've just saw there, I've still got a few tools that can work for me. Even if I completely fall apart and have a breakdown, the blocks are still there. They're falling on the floor, right? But I can still do the things. I still have the blocks, although the layers, the foundation, the structure has fallen apart. I can rebuild and use those tools. And if your threshold is here, so if you have 3 things that work, and then one of those things, or like you stresses just knock one of those off and you're below your threshold, you're already broken down. Whereas if you've got, let's say, 5 things, and then the bottom falls out, you've still got 4 things that keeps you above your threshold of mental resilience, and you still feel okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hopefully learning something. I hope you've not only learned, but enjoyed the video, and some of the tools that I've shared you can use and you have utilized and can utilize in the future. Share as much or as little of this as possible or as you wish. If you want some of the tools in a template format, reach out to me and I can share them with you personally. Talking about mental blocks, if you want a life coach, reach out. I'm Life Coach Rav. Peace out. Bless.